All right, with that, we're going to move on to changes to the agenda.
We just have one, Mayor. We're going to move 8 and 9. I think we're still used to the old method of the code enforcement monthly report. So we'll move 8 and 9 to presentations. So our code enforcement officer can provide a little update on code enforcement activities.
That's going to be 5.9 and 5.8, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other changes?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the changes.
There's been a motion.
I'll second.
It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Agenda is approved with the changes. Okay, we're going to move to item number 2, awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. And we're going to have the item 5.8 and 5.9 from code enforcement.
This is a brief report for the month of January and February. So for the month of January, I handled a variety of cases with the majority focused on property maintenance issues. 14 of those cases are related to junk, trash, and debris. 4 of those are vehicle code cases. 2 were vacant property registration cases, and 5 were unlicensed businesses. I also had one animal case and 1 sign case with a total of 29 new cases for the month of January, and 25 cases were closed for that same month. Along with these new cases, I continue to work on ongoing cases for the month of December, and I issued 9 administrative citations. I have also been working with the police department on vehicle nuisances. 8 vehicles were tagged and 3 were cited during the month of January. As I had mentioned on the previous report, I had been working with our city attorneys on abatement warrants, and one of the property owner was served with the abatement warrant on January 12, 2025, and was given 30 days to address the issues. And that's all I have for January.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much. I appreciate
you.
the hard work you do.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to citizens' comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item within the jurisdiction of the council. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern, identify themselves, and use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes, and in accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the city council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for follow-up and report. Citizens' comments submitted in writing to the city clerk by 5 p.m. on the day of the city council meeting shall be distributed to the city council and included in the record. However, they will not be read. Do I have anyone from the public that would like to speak? And I'll just also say that we also have comment cards. So if you would like to speak on a discussion item, which is just not the general citizens' comments, you can fill one of those out too, and we'll be entertaining those when the city clerk receives some. No public comments? Okay. We're going to move on to public hearings. We have one item, 4.1, adopt resolution number 4257, certifying an initial study and mitigated negative declaration with mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the construction of the Kalinga Perimeter Trail Interconnect Gregory North. Sean?
Thank you, Mayor and Council, public. Tonight is a public hearing for the environmental portion of one of our grant projects for segment 6 of our trail project. This is the project where the city was awarded funds for a larger segment of which is segment 3 North, and this includes the new pedestrian bridge that goes across Los Gatos Creek as well. So this is the environmental phase of the funding process. So as we go through design, we do environmental, then we acquire right-of-way, and then we go through construction. And so we're using California Department of Transportation Active Transportation Program funding for the design and construction of what we call the Gregory North and Coalinga Use Trails part of the master plan. Active transportation funding can include federal, state, or both federal and state funds. The Coalinga Perimeter Trail Interconnect Gregory North is limited to state funds, therefore only compliance with California Environmental Quality Act is necessary for this particular process. So tonight, staff is requesting council approval of Resolution 4257, certifying the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration with mitigation monitoring and reporting for the construction of this particular area of the project. I'll kind of give a little details on what Segment 3 North of the city's planned 8.8 perimeter trail is, and kind of go through what the scope of this particular segment of the project is. So the Trail Interconnect Gregory North would develop approximately 1,917-foot long pedestrian trail and associated improvements in the city. The proposed trail segment would include a 14-foot wide shared use bike and pedestrian trail. The proposed trail would consist of a 10-foot wide paved asphalt trail between 2 feet of unpaved shoulders on both sides. Other proposed trail components include a 24-foot long sidewalk and on Gregory Way, at the Gregory Way crosswalk, one fabricated bike pedestrian bridge over Los Gatos Creek with 24-inch tall guardrails, 2 curb ramps, a roundabout with an island consisting of signage, shade trees, and a bench, and 1 solar light at the west side of the Gregory crosswalk. The proposed trail segment would connect existing and planned segments of the city's perimeter trail network, including segments 3 near Walnut Street, segment 2 at the roundabout, and segment 1 east at Phelps Avenue. So essentially what we call it the roundabout, but essentially as we go west from where the new bridge location will be, you'll have a spur where it'll go south down the first project that we're starting, which kind of goes along the old railroad right away towards First Street. And then the other one is where it spurs out to the west towards the crossing that goes along the Los Gatos Creek corridor and crosses at Elm Avenue between Cambridge and Phelps Avenue. So that's where the roundabout. So depending on which direction you're heading from that location, you would either go south or west. So that's kind of what that, and there's an exhibit in the environmental document that kind of shows you those particular aspects of the development. So tonight, basically the council must consider and make the following findings. Basically approve the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration prepared for the project. Right-of-way or partial acquisition for parcels not owned by the city. We have to get a Union Pacific Railroad encroachment permit, and then also we have permits through U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board, and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. So essentially the cost of preparing this document was all incorporated and funded through the Active Transportation Grant. And so this project does meet and basically comply with all aspects of the California Environmental Quality Act, where we have no significant or unavoidable impacts that will occur as part of this project. So with that, I don't go through too much excruciating detail. If you see the length of these documents, they are extremely long. There's a lot of requirements within CEQA. It's not our choice to have to go into this robust of analysis, but it is required by state law. So with that, I'll entertain any questions regarding the project or the environmental impacts, anything you have questions on.
Okay, I'd like to first open this up to the public. This is a public hearing, and the public hearing is open for public comment. If anybody would like to comment, that you do not need a comment card to comment on this item. Okay, yeah, please come up to the lectern, to the mic, state your name.
Nina Oxborough, and we own the property, the 5 acres that kind of at the end of Walnut that goes off to that direction. So we have no problem with the trail. That'd be awesome and everything. I just, living there and walking there and all that, I just would want whoever builds it and how they build it to be concerned of vandalism, graffiti, trash. It's an ongoing issue out there, and that's my concern, to spend the money, and how are we going to prevent some of that from happening? I know we never can, but I would love to see it. I think it's awesome, and I love seeing families out there walking and doing different things. And also, you know, we have a four-wheeler ATV, but everybody else does. And so they're out there, and that's going to be another thing, which I'm sure you're all aware of. But those are just things that, as a resident that's been there for over 30 years, just something you might want to be aware of and look into that sort of thing. And like I said, we just have the property back there, which again, we gladly sell it to anybody that wants to buy it. But you just have all the neighbors there. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments from the public before I open this up to council? Okay. Council, any questions or comments?
Just a quick clarification. It is a 42-inch handrail, not a 24-inch handrail, correct? That's why
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it was being recorded that way.
Yes.
And is that railing intended to keep the ATVs and stuff off of it?
No, it's just basically the part of the bridge. So that's basically how tall, how the sides of the bridge. Yeah, we just don't want anybody falling in. So similar to what you see on these. I think in the past I've kind of given you guys some examples. It's a while ago, and kind of what kind of those bridges could look like. But yeah, it's just basically your metal handrail. They're basically pre-engineered. They bring them in on a crane. They have 2 footings on each side, and they drop the bridge right on top of the 2 footings across the span.
Is it coming with a kick rail on both sides? That way, if someone were to take a wheelchair or a stroller, it won't slip off the side edge?
They'll be ADA accessible. The trail is typically ADA accessible for the most part, and entering and exiting. And there are some measures that we've been putting into place. We've discovered, learning curve a little bit, but when we have some of these trails, we've been putting some bollards, and we've been installing some along there. We've had issues with people parking on it, which on Lucille and over by the apartments. So we've added some additional bollards, no parking signs, to discourage that, as well as we're going to be looking at, some fencing and other things to really discourage the use of the trail. I mean, I would hope the ATVs don't use it because it's not really off-road. So, but I think the more and more folks use it, the more and more it's connecting. We do see people using it once it gets built. So hopefully we'll see more. And we'll have lighting, and we're going to be monitoring it. In the future, we're looking at purchasing a small street sweeper for it so we can actually keep it clean, as well as PD is going to be hopefully in the near future upgrading and getting the ATV to address issues in the creek, but also to be able to monitor these areas as well as we build out the whole system. Yeah, and Chief's all about cameras, so we'll definitely have cameras.
At least one by the bridge.
Any other questions from council? Okay, I just wanted to make a comment, segueing off what Ms. Oxborough said, that we just, not just this trail, but all of them, we need to make sure that we keep them clean. If there's any funding to add trash cans, doggy things for people to pick up the dog mess. And then my other comment was on the monitoring, but it seems like we're going to get that as well. So that's just my comment. So any other comments from the public before I close the public hearing? Any other questions from council?
I'd like to see, since that bridge, I'd like to see some historical, landmark posting, if it's possible. I know that whole trail has to do with the old railroad, and maybe have the, community stop and read it. Yeah, so.
And I'd also like to see us put out a press release on this once we do get farther in the process, so that people know that and also forward in where the money's coming from, so that people can understand where that is. But if no more comments or questions, I'm gonna close the public hearing. So public hearing is closed. We will need a roll call vote on this. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve this item. 4.1.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler, Councilman Hedgecock, Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Vosberg.
I also vote aye. The public Hearing passes, and we are going to move on to the consent calendar, where it looks like we have 8 items, because 8 and 9 were moved to presentation. What would council like to do?
I move to approve the consent calendar with the changes, 8, 9.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, the consent calendar is approved with the changes. We're going to move on to item number 6, ordinance presentation discussion, which I see none. Item number 7, which is city manager's announcements.
I have a few. Just as a reminder, that we have the strategic planning workshop on Saturday, March 29th at the Keck Park. So this is it's a noticed meeting. It's a strategic planning session. It's not necessarily a engagement type meeting with, from the public standpoint, but it is an open meeting to the public. There'll be probably an agenda going out probably next week. There won't be any items on the agenda because it'll all be discussed at the meeting. But it's basically the strategic planning approach for, that we've been discussing at previous meetings and the project that was approved a while ago. So we'll have that starting at 9 a.m. It'll be all day. So if anybody would like to come, but it'll be basically all of the council, department heads, and myself. But anybody's welcome. It will be open to the public if they're interested in coming on a Saturday. We will be heading to Monterey, myself, the mayor, Councilman Schindler, and Councilman Hedgecock to ICSC in Monterey for the annual ICSC Western, which is the retail conference. So we will have a small booth that we share with Kerman to really get the city out there and try to attract businesses as we have in the past. This is the one that's for the Northern California. There's one in Las Vegas that we typically attend, and then there's also one down in Southern California as well. So these are where we really get to be able to rub shoulders with a lot of the development community, as well as all the retailers that we try to attract to bring to Coalinga. So we'll be gone Tuesday and Wednesday of next week for that event. And we do have our next council meeting is April 3rd. And we'll be, the plan is staff has been working diligently, probably more than everyone, on the budget. And so we're hoping to have a preliminary budget for you. At minimum, the general fund budget. We'll have some preliminary numbers that will incorporate revenues, expenses, and personnel. So we're hoping to have a good, rough idea of what the budget's looking like for fiscal year 26. We're hoping to have all the enterprise budgets ready as well at that time, so we'll plan to present those to you. You may not see anything on the agenda, but we will plan to present what we have at the time for you guys, and then from there, we'll continue to move through the process. So hopefully we have a good picture early in the year, which will be nice. So with that, that's all I have, Mayor.
So I just had a quick question concerning the meeting that we'll be having on the Saturday. So in interest of the public, what kind of participation will they be allowed to have?
There's not really any participation by the public in this venue. Now, there will be a public comment period on the agenda, but for the strategic planning, it's really focused. The facilitator will facilitate that particular discussion.
Okay. So there will not be a discussion period in order for the public to have discussion as we're going through the items?
Mayor, it could be up to you if you'd like to, but I don't know what the facilitator may tell you.
Okay.
I've never gone
That's
through
fair.
I've never gone through this process, but the intent of the strategic plan is really to focus on the dynamic between the staff and the council.
So can we make sure that we have so staff will be here too, correct?
Yes.
And the city treasurer as well?
I've extended the invite to the treasurer.
Perfect.
So if she's able to make it, she will let me know.
And we'll roll with it on what of course, following up the meeting laws and what the facilitator wants to do
Yeah.
as well. Okay?
Yeah.
City, we're gonna move on to 7.2, which is council members' announcements and reports. Okay, number 3, which is mayor's announcements. Let's see, yesterday, me and Mayor Pro Tem Horn met with Congressman Gray, and spoke about issues important to Coalinga. The airport was one of our top topics on trying to understand some funding mechanisms that might be available, and we spoke to him about that, and then also about the constant idea that to make sure that we have water in the city of Coalinga, and explaining to him how important that was. And I think the meeting went well, and he listened to our concerns, and we hope to continue the engagement with him as we move forward. And we're going to go to the ICSC, and it's a very fruitful time. You get to meet up with a lot of different developers, and hopefully we can convince some people to bring some businesses to Coalinga. That will be the goal, and get our name out there. And so if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, so you got to be at the table. I'm a huge fan of that. So I want to thank everyone for coming to the meeting. We're going to move on to item number 8, which is future agenda items.
I have something. We're trying to get new businesses to come into town and build and spend money. We need to come up with a way to have the people that are the property owners on the main drags going through town that the travelers see need to be cleaned up. And we need to come up with some sort of language or different, whatever it needs to be, to kind of force people to take care of their stuff a little bit more than what's going on, because driving through town, it doesn't look good. And it's going to be hard to entertain new business when you drive through town and our town doesn't look good. And I mean, I clean up my property. You drive by it, it's always good. There's no reason people can't clean up their storefronts. There's no reason they can't cut the weeds in front of their businesses. And we need to do that if we're going to attract new businesses. This town has to be marketable and it has to look good. So we need to figure out how to do that. So.
Okay. Any others? You got a direction on?
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. All right, and I do not have any either. We're going to move on to closed session. We have 3 items. The first one is Public Employment Government Code 54957, Title City Manager. The second is Conference with Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation, Initiation of Litigation pursuant to Section 54956.9, one case. And then the third one is Real Property Negotiations, Government Code Section 54956.8, Conference with Real Property Negotiators, Property 148 West Elm Avenue, located in the City of Coalinga. City Negotiators, Interim City Manager Sean Brewer, and City Attorney Mario Zamora, Negotiating Partners, Thrive Ministries, and the City of Coalinga, under negotiation, price, and terms of lease. Do we expect to be reporting anything out?
No.
No. With that being said, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.